Hey folks, this is Dr. Van Breeding. At MCHC, we've secured the best providers and medical staff to care for you and your family. But sometimes your health may require more specialized treatment. MCHC has great relations with the best specialists in Hazard, Pikeville, or Lexington, making sure your referral is handled in a timely manner. Your health is the number one priority of ours, and the ability to care for you is just another way Mountain Comprehensive Health Corporation is providing better health for a longer life.
You know the drill with Wes Smith. Wes Smith. Presented by MCHC.
I have been excited for every guest we've had on the show so far. We've had 3 guests, Brady Kennedy, Nate Sestina, and John Hood. I've been excited about all of them, and I host this show, so I'm allowed to be biased if I want to. I might be the most excited for this guest of any guest that I've had on here so far, for numerous reasons, and I'm not even going to go into all the reasons. I don't even know if we're allowed to say all the reasons why this is one of my favorite guests that I've had on the show so far. But today we are talking to a guy that got his first head coaching job in 2016, I think, if I'm right, and became one of the youngest head coaches in the country at the time at 29 years old. He ended up being the coach of the year in the OVC twice, not once, but twice, and has recently moved out of the OVC to the Sun Belt. Ladies and gentlemen, Preston Spradlin is here talking with us today. Preston, thank you so much for getting on here with us.
Oh man, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I certainly appreciate that introduction there, and also probably omitting some of the stories and things that would add to the legend that you were talking about there. Of course, our background going all the way back to the college days, as most people can imagine. So we'll keep some of that stuff off the podcast here and keep it, a little more above board.
Pippa passes, and not all of our listeners are going to be familiar with Pippa passes. I've referred to it a few times, and I don't know that everybody knows what that is, but they're going to figure it out before this season of this podcast is over. But hey, we're going to talk you up on here, P. You deserve a better introduction than that. But like you said, we can't throw everything in here. We'll leave some of that out. But P, man, I want to talk to you a lot. We cover a lot of basketball on this podcast, so having someone with the basketball mind like you on here is simply amazing. And I want to talk a little bit about all the way from your start, when you became an assistant coach at Morehead. Obviously, you began your playing days at Alice Lloyd College as far as collegiate basketball and NAIA, and then you spent some time at Kentucky, on staff at Kentucky. You will go be an assistant coach at Morehead before you take the interim job. As I mentioned in the introduction, Coach of the Year in the OVC twice. You've played in CBI tournaments. You've played in NIT tournaments. You've played in NCAA tournaments. And now, after all the success at Morehead, you've made it to Harrisonburg, Virginia. Talk to us a little bit about that process, P. What's it like going all the way from playing college basketball to graduate assistant and things at UK to James Madison University? Tell us a little bit about that process.
Man, it's crazy, to be honest with you. It's been such a blessing, to be honest with you, man, because I get to do what I love. I love the game, and I love being around players and coaches and meeting people. And as you know, growing up in the state of Kentucky, everyone loves basketball. And so I grew up a Kentucky fan, and just like all of you. And you that's what you would do. You would sit down, you'd watch Kentucky games twice a week and cheer on the Cats. And so when I had the opportunity to, kind of just barely get a foot in the door, after graduating from Alice Lloyd and playing there for 4 years, getting a foot in the door as a graduate assistant at Kentucky was just a huge blessing. I got there and didn't know anyone, nobody knew me, and so just kind of had to really go to your foundation and your background, and a lot of that was built, growing up in Eastern Kentucky and going to school at Alice Lloyd of just trying to outwork people. That was it, right? You'd come early, you'd stay late, and when I first got there, I probably had one or two tasks to do and duties, and didn't know much at all, and just really invested and tried to pick up as many things as I could. And over the course of 5 years being there, I was a grad assistant for 2 seasons, got my master's, and then became full time. Got a chance to travel the world and coach the Dominican national team. We went to 3 Final Fours, and obviously a national championship in 2012 I got to be a part of, and 26 guys got drafted in the NBA during the time that I was there. So it was just an amazing time, an amazing experience for a guy growing up in Kentucky, and just getting the opportunity as a coach to, learn from some of the best in the business. Obviously, a Hall of Fame coach, who's just phenomenal. Right, nobody's ever going to do it, quite like Cal did at Kentucky, and especially with the way that he galvanized the fans and everything. And so, but it was just an amazing experience. And then, that led me to, the next step in my career, which was I needed to get on the road and start recruiting. I needed to be on the court full time, coaching and developing players. And so part of that is you've got to really, invest in yourself. And so I took a pay cut and went, 50 miles down the road to Morehead State, became an assistant for Sean Woods, and got me back in the mountains, which, as you know, where I'm from. And so that was great for me. And had 2 wonderful seasons there working for Sean. And then the third season, had some circumstances that opened up that allowed me to, be the interim coach, and just try to, work my way through and make it about the players. And again, just try to work as hard as I could and make it about their experience more than anything else. And we ended up having a great year, and got the job full time after going through the interview process. And I would tell you, I probably wasn't the most qualified person that applied for the job there at Morehead State, but I was certainly the most enthusiastic and the most passionate about being the head coach there. And I loved my time there. I was there 10 years, including my time as an assistant and head coach. And I was just so thankful to raise my family there, and the friendships and the community and just everything. I just absolutely loved my experience. And we were just really blessed, man, to have a lot of really good players, a lot of great families that, entrusted us with their sons. And, I felt like we did things the right way there. We graduated guys, we won academic awards on top of, the wins and trophies and things that you mentioned at the beginning of the podcast. And then, so that place is very special to me. And it wasn't like we were actively looking each and every year, but with success comes different opportunities. And so, with the success and the admiration that my wife and I had for being in Morehead and being in the community, we were going to be very selective, right? We were going to be selective as to if we were going to uproot our family and we're going to move out of the state of Kentucky for the first time ever and leave the program that we had built up, then it was going to take something special. And I really felt like James Madison checked all those boxes and could be another place that we could be for 10 years. And, hopefully, stay at the top of the league, certainly with the resources and success and support they have here. We felt like that gave us the best chance to do that. But with the community and just the quality of life here, we felt like we could enjoy raising our family here as much as we could in Morehead, and take a step up, obviously, from where we had been professionally, but make sure that we, personally, we're still going to be taken care of and feel comfortable. And so that's kind of where we're at, man. Going into my 16th year of coaching. I've been so blessed that it's all been at the Division I level. I've only been to three places, including James Madison. This is the first time in my life I've ever lived outside of the state of Kentucky. And, it's a lot of fun. So when you ask how it is, it's a whirlwind. It's a lot. But it's great because I get to enjoy what I do every day, and I get to do it with some great people. And I've been very blessed to be surrounded by a lot of great people from the administration, community, my coaching staff that's still with me here, been with me for a long time, and certainly a number of players that have come and gone over the years.
16 years. I didn't. You're old as hell, P. I didn't even realize 16 years. I wasn't even thinking it was that long. Man, that's been and I'm really glad you talked about your connection to Morehead and what Morehead meant to you, the city, the school. you have been, and I think I told you this when I asked you about being on the podcast. I can't even tell you, people I've never heard of, people that I don't even know if they're from Eastern Kentucky, have requested, can you get Coach Spradlin on the show? Get Preston on the show. So I feel like you left that impact on them as much as they left that impact on you. And like you said, growing up in Eastern Kentucky, it's a connection that I feel like only people there know. But just know that you have left that impact as well. Talk a little bit about and you alluded to it just a moment ago. Obviously, you're going to be very excited. You get, this opportunity at James Madison University, who the facilities are amazing. I want to talk about the facilities here in just a moment. But how was that conversation with the family about picking up and moving from a place that had such an impact in your life?
I think it was kind of an ongoing process, to be honest with you, and we're very open with our kids. Bentley, he's 12 now. Our son, our daughter Aubrey is 6, and so they're smart. They're in tune. They know, there's a lot of chatter and things that go on, and so as different jobs were calling and approaching, we were open and honest with them about ones that we would potentially take serious and ones that we wouldn't. And we wanted them to be involved because we didn't want them to just, wake up one day and say, wow, we're moving. And that we felt like that could be pretty devastating. So we wanted them to feel like, hey, they had a little bit of connection to it, right? They had some buy-in and some say, and because it was a big decision, but they were excited. They were excited. They knew, that there was probably 2 or 3 jobs that had the potential to open that I'd had on my list for a long time that, should they open, I'd be really interested in. But, being 10 years in one place is a long time. And so we were very ingrained with the family. But man, they were so excited. Once we got here, I think there was a lot of tears shed early on when there was an initial shock of, hey, we're going to be eventually moving here. But once we got a chance for the kids to come and visit with Misty and I to really see everything, just see the excitement and see the campus, the facilities, as you mentioned, meet a lot of the people here, they really started to understand, wow, this can be special, right? And I think it was really cool for them to go to a new place where everyone knew us, right? And everyone was excited to have us there. And so that was a cool feeling, I'm sure, for our kids. And then, to help with the transition as well. Misty stayed home with the kids while they finished out school. They both got to play baseball and softball this spring. So we tried to keep things as normal as we could, although I wasn't there for about 8 weeks. I was here, of course, rebuilding our team and running the program here and kind of just getting everything going. And but once we got merged back up at the end of May, things started to feel normal again. And so we've been kind of drinking water through a fire hydrant for the last 3 months. And now it's kind of the slow down time just a little bit before, the players come back, the kids start back school here and things get really going. But it's been such a blessing. I say all the time, if you're busy and overwhelmed, you can look at all these different things that are coming at you, people counting on you as a burden, or you can look at it as a blessing. And it's a real blessing to be here and to have all the responsibility and duties and things that we do have here, because it's certainly a privilege to be here to do it.
Well, Preston, you obviously your success at Morehead, switching gears just a moment, two NCAA tournament appearances. You did have that first ever school NIT appearance in, was that 2023?
Yep.
2023. So obviously a lot of success there. You mentioned you've been coaching here at this level 16 years, three locations, 3 landing spots during that 16 years. Your first head coaching job at Morehead, you had been an assistant for 2 years. So basketball has been an ever-changing dynamic. You've got the transfer portal. You've got NIL going on in college basketball. What was it like? Obviously a different transition from assistant coach to head coach at the same school. Totally different transition to a new school that you didn't have a part of before. Talk to us about, me and you talked earlier about, you said you have been really building the schedule, almost from scratch here at JMU. How does all of that schedule building, transfer portal, NIL, how does all of that accompany a new job at a brand new school as a head coach?
It's a lot, right? It's a lot of different things. I think, when I took over, gosh, 8 years ago there at Morehead, obviously, as you mentioned, the landscape was totally different, right? There was his own challenges from being an assistant to taking over and becoming the head coach. There's advantages to that, but then there's also challenges as well. But at that point in time, there was no transfer portal, right? And so when I got the job then, I had to hire a whole new staff. So that's really difficult. That's hard to do. And then you sprinkle in the fact I think we had 3 players returning at Morehead when I got the job there. And so at that time, you couldn't recruit transfers that could come in and be immediately eligible. So it was a lot of high school, a lot of junior college players at that point in time. So it was really difficult to flip a roster and have a successful team immediately at that point in time. Now things have changed, right? And so you can recruit older guys, more experienced players who can come in and they can play right away. And so that's a huge advantage, right? To being able to take over and be able to flip a roster or flip a program if it needs flipped. This one didn't need flipped, right? It just need kind of rebuilt because we inherited 2 players when I got the job here, and so so that experience kind of prepares you for it. But it is very different. We're navigating the NIL, which I think everyone. That's ever changing and increasing right now across the country. Of course, it wasn't a big part of our recruiting at Morehead. It is a part of our recruiting here, which is fine. But we've been able to kind of navigate and stay consistent with our philosophy as to what kind of players we're going to recruit, what kind of people we're going to recruit, and what the reasons are that we bring them into our program and make them a part of our university here. And NIL hasn't really changed that. The transfer portal hasn't really changed that too much. The avenue at which we get there is different, right? But the end result and the people that we end up putting in those jerseys and locker rooms and building the program with, and ultimately the success we hope is not going to change much. The process is different, right? But we're going to stay true to the mission and the purpose as to why we're getting the opportunity to coach and lead a program like this.
Staying true to the mission, as you said, and paying really close attention, as you mentioned, to making sure you're recruiting the type of players that you want to recruit there at JMU is really good to hear because, it seems so chaotic from an outside fan perspective, right? I can only imagine how all of, this evolution of basketball feels as a head coach having to deal with that. Just earlier today, I don't know if you've seen, obviously a different sport, but Coach Mark Stoops released his statement about NIL, talking about how, he didn't know how much more he could take. It's just been so much on him. It's challenges he's never faced. You're young. We've seen you adapt. We've seen all that. And I love that you mentioned staying true to the mission there. Is it almost a double-edged sword, however, could it be for a lot of schools, and maybe not speaking specifically for JMU? I'm thinking in the aspect, Preston. We talked about Brady Kennedy a few episodes ago. Obviously, your connection with Brady, dealt with some recruiting for John Calipari at Kentucky, and some of the day-to-day operations with that. Is it difficult? I'm sitting here thinking, not only are you recruiting new players each year, you're to an extent having to recruit players that you already have on your roster. Am I correct in thinking that?
Sure. Yeah. You got to re-recruit your own roster at times. And so, again, that's typically going to be a good problem, right? If you've got good players. But at the end of the day, I feel good about the fact that it's guys are coming here for the right reasons, right? They want to be here. NIL is a part of that conversation, but it's not the top of the list. Okay. And so because it's not at the top of the list, it's not the initial part of the conversation. It's not necessarily the reasons that they're going to want to stay if their experience has been what you promised them anyway. Right. And so, we're going to treat guys the right way. We're going to coach them hard. We're going to coach them with great respect. We take pride in being demanding, but, not being demeaning with our guys. And we want them to have fun. I think that you can still have fun, right? We want to win. It's intense. It's tough. It's all those things. But we do, I think the best thing that we do as a staff is we create an environment that the guys want to be here. They want to be here all the time. And we really we talk about that in the recruiting process. So we recruit guys who love basketball and they want to get better and they crave coaching and competitiveness. And the guys that don't, that they're just looking for NIL, then we don't really bring them, into our program. And so when it comes time to re-recruit your guys who are having success and are doing really well, it makes that, that conversation a little easier, right? And so we spend a ton of time with our guys. We invest a lot in them. We really, truly do. And they know that we care about them, and they know that at the end of the day, we're going to, want what's best for them. And I tell guys all the time, what's best for you sometimes isn't always what's best for me. And I'm okay with that because I'm very purpose driven in what I do. And, I want to see you become a great man. I want to see you, get the gift of the game is what I say all the time, because, basketball is the greatest teacher of life. And sometimes that the best thing for you to do is move on, right? And find a different opportunity that maybe is more lucrative. Sometimes the best opportunity is right here with us, but we're open and honest with our guys about that conversation and every other conversation and opportunity and decision that they make. And so that one just kind of falls right in line with how we treat them with everything.
So with those guys, you talked about you inherited a few players from last year's roster. As we know, we've seen some guys travel from Morehead to Harrisonburg with you. Great success last season. I got to travel up to Evansville to watch you in the conference tournament up there, and then got to watch you on TV in the NCAA tournament. Tell us about the Dukes this year and those players. I've known you for a long time, Preston. Just like you talked about, you're really good at making those players feel their worth. What is their worth for the Dukes this year? How are we looking?
Well, we're excited about our group. First of all, we've just got a great group of guys. We really, truly do. And it starts with the guys you mentioned, right? The returning players. We've got 3 walk-ons who are coming back for us and 2 scholarship players. The 2 scholarship guys, Jarrell Roberson was in a reserve role last year and has had a great summer for us. He's a guy that really wants to be here, as a big guy. And so looking for him to make an impact on us this year. And then Xavier Brown was the starting point guard for the latter part of the season last year, and a huge Sun Belt championship game to lead the Dukes to the NCAA tournament. And so, those guys were here, right? Because they were here for the greatest program in James Madison history, and they wanted to stay for all the right reasons, because they love it here and they want to see the program continue, and they were excited about our staff and how we do things. And so we recruited those guys and got them back. And then, of course, a couple of guys we brought from Morehead with us who were also a part of, the the best 4-year run in history there. And so, those guys are all winners that we just mentioned. Eddie Ricks coming from Warren State, and Mark Freeman. And so those guys have familiarity with JMU and then with our staff, and then all the other new guys that we brought in. We kind of started with players that we had either competed against or we had recruited at other stops along the way. And so that really, sped up the recruiting process. And so all of that together is kind of a long way of saying that, we've got an experienced team. We have 5 senior/graduate guys this year. Seniors or super seniors, as you could say. And so we've got an older, experienced group. We got a really talented team. We're big across the board. I'd be shocked if we're not the biggest team in the Sun Belt this year. With 2 guys that are 6'11", another 6'10", and then we've got 4 other players that are going to be 6'7", 6'8", skilled players on the wing. And so this is a big, physical, experienced team. I think we'll have more depth than what we've been able to put together at Morehead over the past couple of years. So, what do we do with that? I think we have an opportunity to play a little faster, be a little more aggressive on the defensive end, so that we can really, play to our strength of having a lot of bodies out there, having fresh guys. But, we're going to shoot the ball well. We're going to share it. We got a premier big man inside. We got another guy or 2 that can play above the rim. And so I'm excited about, how all these pieces fall together. We had a really good summer bringing this group together. They competed like crazy. They were so much fun to be around. We don't put as much structure on the court in practice during the summer as what we do in the fall, because we want to see what guys are good at and what they're not good at. And then we'll kind of take this time that we have right now to kind of blueprint, hey, this is how this team can play. This is positionally the strength of this guy and where we're going to put him, so that when they get back in the fall, we can start to be a little more precise with how we're attacking and how we're, putting guys together, putting them in position to be successful. But this is going to be a fun group to watch. I think we're going to be really good. How soon? I don't know. That all depends on how quickly we can gel, stay healthy, and get all the pieces in the right places where they need to be by the time November gets around.
Well, we're not going to try to put too much pressure on you and tell you that we really want to see another NCAA appearance for the Dukes this year, but I do want to throw out there, you mentioned your size this year with your 2'6'11" guys. You said you're maybe one of the biggest teams in the Sun Belt. We've seen you perform well with big teams in the past. We saw your season with John I. Broome at Morehead State and how you were able to utilize that size and that ability. Tell us a little bit more about the Sun Belt. Obviously, you said you might be one of the biggest teams. We're very used to the Preston Spradlin at Morehead with the OVC. Talk to us a little bit about the Sun Belt and some of the teams in that.
I'm still learning a lot about this league, to be honest with you. But I know it's an incredibly talented, physical league with some really good coaches. And I would say that this is the type of league, from what I knew coming in and what I've certainly learned since being in it, and the small time I've been here. Every team is good. Every team is capable of competing for a regular season title. Every team is certainly capable of making a run in March and cut down the nets and going to March Madness. Whereas other leagues, I don't know that every team is quite capable of that. Right? I think you're going to have your upper echelon, and that's probably where the most of the success is going to be found. But I think there's a lot of parity in this league. Again, lots of talent, physicality, a lot of really good athletic teams, and so I do think there's going to be a lot of new faces. I think we have 4 new coaches, including myself, in this league. A lot of roster turnover, but it seems like from what I can gather from my staff and talking to other coaches in the league, it seems like Arkansas State's going to be really good. They returned a lot of players, added some really good pieces, and obviously had a great season last year, losing in the Sun Belt Championship game to JMU. And Troy, coach does a great job down there. They return a lot of quality players as well, and so right on down the line, I think you look at App State. Dustin Kern's one of the better coaches in the country, in my opinion. I think they got a lot of roster turnover this year, but I think he's proven he can get it done in a lot of different ways. And so those are going to be some of the guys I would expect to be near the top of this league. But it's going to be an extremely competitive league, really physical. And so we're going to need that size to really capitalize and to hang tough in the league this year.
Preston, can we look forward to any You Are the Master? A lot of people listening to this podcast will understand your work that you did with John Calipari basketball camps in the summer at UK. Can we look forward to any basketball camps with the Dukes coming up in the summers?
Absolutely. That was one of the things I was disappointed that I couldn't do this year. We had to sign 11 players. Obviously, myself and my staff all moving our families here. We're still working on our schedule. And so, unfortunately, camp just wasn't something we were able to do this year. We probably could have thrown together a camp. But as you know about me, I'm not going to halfway do anything. We're going to do it the right way. And camp is important to me. I love camp. I think we got a chance to have some big camps here at James Madison and here in Harrisonburg in the community. And so that's something that we're promising to next summer really deliver on. Individual camp, kids camp, and then I think team camps are going to be great here as well, just with a number of really, high quality high school programs and talent that are surrounding Harrisonburg within a 2-3 hour radius. I think we'll be able to attract and have some great camps here. So absolutely, that's something we're looking forward to tapping into next summer.
Speaking on behalf for a few guys, and you can probably name those to yourself, we'll be looking forward to an email about looking for some camp coaches to travel to Harrisonburg. What about when we get there to Harrisonburg? Where are you taking us to eat? Have you picked out a favorite restaurant in town yet?
Man, I tell you, this city has no shortage of great food. And we talked about signing 11 players. We signed 11 players on 13 official visits, so we were busy at eating every restaurant in this town. I know probably every menu in this town better than the people who made them up, but we've got some great ones, man. Rocktown Kitchen, probably my favorite restaurant. High end, delicious food. They got a steak and fish special every single night. It's going to be something different, handcrafted. A place called Jimmy Madison's is a big time atmosphere. Man, there's breakfast spot called Magpies that's unbelievable. Has a completely different menu every single week. So this is a great food city. Lots of nightlife, lots of really cool places to hang out, and it's a cool time right now because the students aren't really here. So they call it a townie summer right now because all the townies are kind of out hanging out in the restaurants and things. But man, about 3-4 weeks from now, you're gonna have 23,000 students coming back to this campus, and this place will be jumping. And so it's gonna be a lot of fun.
See, I'm throwing these recruiting pitches out there right now for you, P. If you're a recruit out there, and you're wanting to have some NCAA tournament wins and play for a championship, find Coach Preston Spradlin. He's going to take you somewhere really nice to eat. We
That's
know
right.
the food. You're speaking my language. You said some fish and steak there, man, and I was in. I was sold. Sign me right now, P. Listen, Preston, I'm not going to hold you too long. We want you to be out there working to get James Madison back on top again this year after the great season last year. Thank you so much for being on here with us, and we look forward to it, man. I am going to tell you though, you're costing me a lot of money. You've got to. I know it's only 3 stops, but I already had my UK gear, and then I buy like a couple $60 Morehead pullovers to try to wear to some Morehead games, and now I'm getting on there looking, and it's just as expensive for JMU gear. So we're gonna have to chill out with the moves here for a little bit. I don't know. My pocketbook won't go much further with the pullovers, man.
Well, you and that camp crew, you guys drive on down here, and I'll take care of your gear for you. All right, for your troubles, and come down here at the beautiful Atlanta Union Bank Center. This place is unbelievable. 8,500. The fans. It's going to be rocking the game day atmosphere. Drive on down here to Harrisonburg. It's an easy drive. Not too far from the beautiful state of Kentucky. We'll make sure you guys get some Duke's gear to cheer us on.
Well, we're going to take you up on that offer for sure. We've already been planning, man. We've got we're trying to get some sneak peeks at a schedule. When you get your non-conference schedule together here, we're going to be out there for sure.
Yeah, we're working on it. A couple that are on the schedule right now. We get the opportunity to open up here at home this year. That'll be November 4th against a really good Ohio team. That's going to be in the Sun Belt MAC Challenge. So they come here, and Coach Bowles does an unbelievable job. I think they're going to be picked, in the top 2 or 3 of the Sun Belt, which tells me that's probably where they'll have us picked as well. And so that's going to be a battle right out the gate to open the season right here at home. So I'm excited about that. And a week or so later, we're going to head down to Daytona for 3 games in 3 days in the inaugural boardwalk battle down there. Beautiful Ocean Center facility, and so that'll be the week before Thanksgiving. So if you can talk your boss into giving you some time off, fly down there, catch the Dukes for 3 games, 3 days, and put your toes in the sand for a little bit. That'll be a lot of fun.
So might be sending an email as we speak right there, Preston, to try to work that trip out. Last question I'm going to ask you. I hate to pull your attention away from the Dukes. You mentioned earlier at the start of this show you grew up in Eastern Kentucky, being a Kentucky fan. That's where you got one of your starts in college basketball. The question everybody will text me after every episode, why did you not ask the guest this question? So here you go. What's your expectation for Pope's Cats this year? How are they going to be?
Well, I can tell you this, man. Mark Pope is going to do an unbelievable job. I was so, I hated to see Cal go. Obviously, I love Cal, and I don't think anyone's going to ever, do the job quite like he did. He really changed the game with that for 15 years, and I think we're all going to look back on how appreciative we were for the job that he did for the program. But at the same time, it's exciting, and Cal said it himself. Sometimes change is good, and I think this is a good change because, Mark's got a different voice. He's got an unbelievable passion. He's got the biggest heart in the world, and he's got a phenomenal basketball mind. And so he's going to do an unbelievable job. They're going to play fast. They're going to play exciting. They're going to play tough basketball, and he's going to do a really good job. I'm going to say it right now. They're going to be in the NCAA tournament. I think that's going to happen. I think they're going to be competing for an SEC championship this year. I really, truly do. That's how highly I think of Mark and the job that he and his staff have done, and his coaching acumen and his abilities. And it's how highly I think of the program at Kentucky. And so I'm excited. I'm excited for Mark. I'm excited for the program, and I think they're going to do a phenomenal job.
Well, Preston, as highly as you talked about Mark Pope, I want you to know that we all here think just as highly of Preston Spradlin at JMU. We wish you nothing but the best in Harrisonburg. We will for sure be down there. I'll be expecting at least a polo.
Oh, for sure. It'll be cold, so I'll get you a pullover, maybe a hoodie to go along with it. So we got you.
Sold a pullover and a hoodie and a couple of those restaurants at least, and we're talking. We'll be over there.
That's right. That's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, Preston Spradlin. Preston, again, thank you for being on here. We wish you nothing but the best, and we can't wait to check in with you again and see how the Dukes are doing later on in the season, man.
All right. Thanks so much, man. Go Dukes.
You know the drill with Wes Smith. Wes Smith. Presented by MCHC.